Thank you for tuning in to America's Real Stimulus Package, which is us. I'll be your host, Victor Shakir. My good friend Ken Johnson wasn't able to make it, so I welcome the opportunity. Those were my guests, Fleetwood and Roger, and we'll be talking. On. Well, let me let Fleetwood tell you what we'll be talking about today.
Well, I'm honored. First of all, I want to thank you, Shakir, for having me and Roger here. And we just want to talk about today about the importance of fatherhood. Roger's a father of 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And I just had my first daughter, 54 years old. So we're just here to embark on some dialogue about fatherhood and its importance.
Okay, you've done work before. You, if I remember correctly, you have a couple of national bestsellers out. Tell us a little bit about that led up to ZEPHANIAH, your new work.
Well, I started off as a rap artist, and I always followed Ice Cube, and I knew that Cube had displayed that you can write a rap song, you can write a script, and you can elevate your pen. So I went from a rapper to writing books, and my first book was Hip Hop Tried to Kill Me. And the premise was, what don't kill you make you stronger, and it described my life all the way up until 2009. And I self-published it, and I self-published a couple more after that. Then I did my first documentary film about a high school girl basketball team in Oakland, how girls were using basketball as a safe haven and a way to catapult a higher learning.
And that was I Just Love to Ball?
Yeah, I Just Want to Ball, yeah.
I Just Want to Ball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about the new work. You have a new work, ZEPHANIAH, and that's your daughter.
Yes.
And I looked at the trailer, and it was just full of insight and all. Tell us just what had you come from those two to make this, and then after that we'll show a little clip.
Well, I got friends like Roger that, stay in my eardrum. He's a very successful businessman, and he's a father himself, and I realized when I had my daughter that I had a responsibility, that I had been given a gift, and it was something that I wanted to share with the world, embracing that responsibility and the joy that came with it. And I was hoping to light a fire in somebody who had abandoned their children, and I also wanted to shed a light on the single mothers and salute them for holding us down. And last but not least, I wanted to let the world know it's a plot and ploy held by the U.S. government to run the black, brown, and the yellow man out the household. They'll give a sister Section 8, but only if she don't allow a man to be there. And this is where the recruitment of the prison industrial complex begins in middle school, because children are left alone to make their own choices, which come with consequences. A lot of times as an adolescent, temptation can lead you down the wrong road, and you end up in juvenile and graduate to county jail, then to prison. So this is something that feeds the prison industrial complex, modern day slavery, which is incarceration, free labor in America. So we definitely touch on that aspect. But yeah, like I said, Roger has been a strong pillar in my life, and just seeing how he conducts himself and holds himself and raises his children has helped me. I call him all the time and just bounce off what I'm going through.
Well, we're going to talk to Roger in a moment. What I want to do is show some of the a little bit of the clip or the trailer.
All right.
Of ZEPHANIAH.
ZEPHANIAH, world premiere.
Yeah.
You ever hear of the DREAM Act? The DREAM Act isn't for our children. The DREAM Act is for other children that come into the country. I want the DREAM Act to be for our children.
We have zero tolerance for people that enter our country illegally.
Good evening, I'm Kim Chapman.
And I'm Latricia Thomas. Tonight we're digging a little bit deeper into how the home life of a child plays into the road they choose.
And today we also learned that most gang members come from single-parent households. And we found out what the correlation was between absent dads and children. Where's your father?
In jail. My father just realized that I need him to come back to my life.
And how come?
Because sometimes my mother needs help, and she just can't do it by herself.
It's nowhere in the world a man that has somebody that's part of them that don't want to be around them. You can't be a man. You haven't discovered really what the definition of a man is if you don't want to be involved in your child's life, because that's not a man to me. I ain't gonna try to disrespect nobody, but to me, that ain't the definition of a man. A man's job is to provide for his family, man. Straight up. One thing I love more than you is God, boo. You hear me? That's the only thing I love more than my boo Luke is God. That ain't a bad thing to come in second to though, boo. You know what I mean? That's why I named ZEPHANIAH. You God's treasure. God gonna always protect you. I owe her everything I got plus more. She has brought me joy. She has brought me peace. She gave me a title that I never even earned, and that's ZEPHANIAH's daddy. So I owe my baby, man, that she my motivation, she my reason, she my world, she my gift, she my miracle. You know, she my daughter. I love her. You are my legacy. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Baby girl. But you know, I can't honestly sit here and say I accomplished quite a bit of things. You know, God allowed me to accomplish quite a bit of things in the underground. But the greatest accomplishment I ever will have in my life would be being a better man and a great father to my daughter. I just love the title ZEPHANIAH's daddy. I love when little kids say, there goes ZEPHANIAH daddy. You know, so that's what I'm most proud of sitting right here, is I'm a father and I love being a father. You know, I'm not a baby daddy. You know, I'm my daughter's father. I'm ZEPHANIAH's daddy.
Oh, man. That was great. I mean, that was actually, it was good. I think that you'll actually be able to touch a lot of people with this movie, with the clip. I have to say, what got me, I'm looking at your love, the love that you're showing for your child. And if all men could understand that raising the children, that's part of our social development and the beauty and joy that the Creator gives you when you watch and raise your child. Talk a bit about that.
Well, I don't think a person who is not willing to raise his child hasn't defined what a man is. He's still a boy that's developing. No way you can call yourself a man if you don't love the fact that you have a seed, a branch from your tree, and you love that. That ain't a man. A man takes responsibility to raise his family. So you can't call yourself a man. You're not a man yet.
Well, now that, you know, that touched on a few people, rubbed them a little wrong, but I think that you're absolutely correct. If they're not shouldering their responsibility, then how can they call themselves a man? Just to make a baby. I think that was a very good point you made. You don't want to just be a baby's daddy. I mean, you want to be a father.
The truth hurt, and it also set you free. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing about it is me and the mother of my child, we're not together no more. But I never grew from anything besides learning how to deal with the police, because I rebelled against authority. When I learned how to deal with the police is when I stopped going to jail. When I learned how to be polite to them and not feel like a sucker is when I stopped going to jail. Because I would rebel with them, no matter what, because I already knew a lot of them was on some BS.
Right.
So when I learned to deal with my child's mother, so no day will go where we will have miscommunication. Because one day of miscommunication could be the biggest day in my daughter's life.
Right.
So I'm saying when I learned to do that with her, apologize when I ain't wrong, to keep the communication going, is when I grew even more as a man. And I think a lot of brothers are scared of that growth. See, pride will bind you. Your spirit is free, but pride will tie a knot around your spirit. That's why God says stay humble.
This is a wise brother here. Let me
I ain't wise, man. I ain't wise, man. I got
trials and tribulations of life.
Man, there you go. I got experience. Me and this guy come from Eddie and Leavenworth, Jefferson Hotel, man, the Tenderloin, man.
Talk a little bit. Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think made you, of these experiences that you've had, that have made you, or either one of you, the person that you are today?
I'm gonna let Roger answer that.
Trials and tribulations of life. I believe that you are a reflection of your past. I believe that a lot of things that you experience is what create who you are. And I think it's one thing to have went through these different obstacles. It's another thing to learn from them. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves a chance. Me, personally, I basically had a moment of clarity. You know, many times when I was out there doing things that I shouldn't have, I've always had in my heart that I knew it wasn't the right thing. But that came from a reflection of how I was raised. Even though I was out there and I had lost my natural mind, I still had instilled it wasn't the right thing. It was just that I was sick at the time. So I used those same tools in pulling myself out. And I try to reflect those things to my children. So a lot of times I think change is difficult. We get caught in a rut and we don't know how to break that chain. Change is one of the most difficult things to actually conquer because we get comfortable in that comfort zone. And we're scared to look outside that zone, so we stay stuck in that dunja. We're stuck in that dunja, you know, stuff it's just not, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, brother, you know. But it's easy for us to say, but it's another thing to accomplish and do these things.
Well, you know, when I listen to you talk, it's what I'm seeing that's different is a moral development or a development of character. Where it was Martin Luther King, I remember, who said, following those that had gone before him, as not to be judged by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. It takes men of character to sacrifice the things that are available and out there for them to spend time in raising up a child that the Creator has given you to have an opportunity in the world. And when I was talking to Fleetwood earlier, it was one of the things that we had looked at was two of his focuses was love and the future. And we have to have a vision to the future. And I'm listening to the two of you, and both of you had a vision to the future to help you, Fleetwood, get up out of the muck and the mire that you were in, and you, Roger, to go on to the success that you have had. And for people to understand that it's mental. We're physical and we're mental, but we're really mental creatures, because there's nothing you do physically without first getting a mental command. Correct. So you're very strong men. Getting the men fatherhood, what do you think is one of the... I'm going to try to get them to see what is one of the reasons they think, or they could share with us, to help fathers be fathers, or to help baby daddies be fathers, and men in their children's life to play a part. What do you think causes this problem, and what can you share with them to help them to be men or examples like you all are?
I'm going to let Roger answer it, then I'm going to come after him.
Well, I can tell you, only from my experience, I learned from example. And what I've learned, and what I was told a long time ago, even when I was out there sick many years ago, that birds pick up seeds. An individual that was instrumental in assisting me, along with the Creator, in coming from out of that situation, never told me to stop doing that. They never conveyed to me that I shouldn't do that. They never, basically, I learned from example from the individual. After I had got myself together, this individual came around, and every time I seen him, he was looking better. I seen him again, he was getting married. I seen him again, he was buying a house. I seen him again, and his life was just flourishing. And this is the same individual that I was out there doing wrong with. And when we met, after being sober for many years, he came, I went up to him and I said, why come you didn't tell me what I was doing wrong? He said, because I know that you had to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I kept coming around showing you what I was doing, and I know eventually you would catch on, because by me telling you, that wouldn't work. So basically I was dropping seeds, and he said, Roger, you know what seeds do, what birds do? Birds pick up seeds, and that's what you did. And I convey that to my children the same way. My experiences that I've been through, I convey them to my children. And like I say, we are a reflection of our past, and my children see what I've been through, and they're always trying to better themselves because they know what their dad has went through.
Right.
And I keep that in the forefront of them in everything that they do. My son, he's an engineering student in his 3rd year, Cal Poly Pomona. My other daughter, she's my middle daughter, she's pre-med, and I raised them, you know, pretty much on my own. They have different mothers, but it was my responsibility as being a father. It's not about them having different mothers. It's about me being a father in their life. You know, and I've always told them that when they was very young, that you have a mother, you have a father, so there is no excuse. You know, where I lack, your mother pick up. Where your mother lack, I pick up. There's an even balance here, so there's no excuse. And I instilled that in them very young, when they were very young. And to this day, they always go back to that, you know. So
there's so much wisdom, I mean, that you all are giving, you don't even know what you're doing. You know, I mean, you're talking, Roger, about you got them young. It just runs off. But most adults let the television and radio raise the kids while they're young, and they try to teach them when they get older. But the time to get them is when they're young and they're influenceable. Fleetwood.
You have to cultivate them when they're young.
Yes.
Yeah. I just think that a lot of brothers are mad that they didn't have a father and feel like to their children, I ain't had no daddy. You gonna be all right if I don't come around. I ain't had no daddy. Or either they don't know how to be a dad because they never had male role models to use as an example. So I think, you know, I think the best thing I can tell a brother that have abandoned his children and really not doing what he's supposed to do is seek your elders. Seek your elders to be able to talk to them about your pain. If you are mad at your father, that you might have never even knew who he was, or he might have left y'all and never came back. Seek your elders and talk to them, you know, and learn how, you know, express your pain and agony, get it out of you.
But I think that's one of the problems. A lot of individuals, they don't know how to express, or they want to express, but who do you express to? A lot of them, they don't know how to vent. Because what comes with that is trust. One of the most powerful elements to an individual being able to cure themselves is being able to trust someone to convey this to. Who do you trust? Because most of the people that you associate yourself with, they have the same problems, a lot of them. So what do you do? Where do you go? So they're caught up in a rut. You got to take a chance with someone. So you got to have some type of wit within yourself to know, I can trust this individual, whether it's an older person, you know, a wiser person, or maybe someone you don't even know. You can learn from anyone. But I think there's a lot of trust issues that are involved, to whereas a lot of them, they don't know who to trust or where to go. So they're caught up in that rut. So I think once you can break that, it would be easier, but it's easily said than done. Who do you trust?
And another thing I think is important is forgiveness, because if you have left your children, then you want them to forgive you. So that means whatever you holding against their mother, you must forgive her.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't forgive, you can't be forgiven.
That's right.
So I think I think a lot of brothers are so mad at their child's mom, they take it, the children suffer.
Yeah, that's true.
But they want the children to still be involved with them, but the children see how they treat their mama though.
Right.
So if you want the child to forgive you, for not being in their life, then you must forgive their mama
Right.
for whatever you feel as though she did for y'all to separate.
You know, it makes me laugh because I think that it's really it's scripture, it's revelation.
Right.
You know, if we want the Creator to forgive us, then we have to forgive.
No doubt.
You know, and then you say to people that don't know, but if they pay attention to what you're doing and your focus was on love and our future, and that's love for self,
Definitely.
love for family, love for the Creator,
Right.
and that will bring you into opening up to seeing things and always having a vision to the future. I think we talked about that earlier, where some of them just feel like life is so hard, beat
Right.
down, they out there sick,
Yeah.
and they don't see a way out, so they give up, they don't see a future. They say, well, I may be dead tomorrow, and they're living without. Exactly, so we need a future.
That is one of the biggest excuses because there's a lot of it comes from conditioning. Social conditioning. We know that.
Right.
But to break that social conditioning, as you conveyed, as you said before, you have to love oneself.
Right.
How do you love oneself?
Right.
Most people, they don't even know how to love oneself.
Right.
You know, because they've never had it, or they make excuses to not love oneself. So they're caught up in the rut. You have to love oneself, and that goes to the children. You know, you have to love yourself. If you love yourself, you love your children. If you don't love yourself, you don't love anyone.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself.
It's impossible.
Fleetwood said that where I keep thinking about what he was saying. You know, I'm ZEPHANIAH's daddy.
That's right. Proud of
Yeah,
it.
that's right. So he's loving himself. Now, who is himself? I'm ZEPHANIAH's daddy.
A king, and that's my queen.
That's right. So now what must I do? If this belongs to me, like all men, if this is my woman, then if it's something that you love, then you want your woman to be pretty.
Right.
You want them to have a nice future.
No doubt.
You want them to have nice things and feel good about themselves.
Right.
And if I'm the dad, then I have to be that way. So really it works if they really just take your advice and take advice from you men. Because nobody is looking for anything good from us.
No, not at all.
And these are things, the stories that need to really be out there because that's needed. And what you had said earlier, Roger, I think that it's more from the hundreds of years of slavery, in my research, it was 100 years of slavery where we were cut off from the natural social progression. See, we didn't have Asian friends. We didn't have Mexican friends. We didn't raise our children. They were taken from us. So we were cut off from the natural social development. And then when we come from out of slavery, we have not done any studies on the psychological effect of slavery.
Right.
So that's deep in there where they would take us to breed
Dog
and
eat
then
dog.
move you to some other plantation. So we carry that now. We give them a child, then we move on to somebody else and no commitment.
Right.
But it's men like you that will set that fire and awaken the minds of men so they can be men and we can rightfully take the place that we deserve.
Absolutely.
Well, I think just, this is the beginning of finding the lost generation.
Yeah.
Is fathers doing what they're supposed to do and going back to their children, listening to their pain.
That was the other thing when you said listening, what I find. Because I really want to know the answers to these questions. And one of the things is, when we were coming up, we had a grandparent and the great-grandparents that we listened to. So the knowledge was passed down from generation to generation.
Right.
Well, when the children stopped listening to the parents, then who are they listening to?
Kids raising kids.
Well, yeah,
Kids
that's
raising kids on
the computer.
cornerstone.
They on the internet.
Social media.
Yeah, so the thing is, though, a lot of times, we want to correct them in their mistakes and give them what we got. It's hard for us not to just to pump our brakes a little bit, as they say, and because we ain't gonna find out what's hurting them if we don't listen to them, if we don't give them the talk. We gotta give them the talk. If you don't give them the talk, you'll never be able to cure what's inside of them.
That's true.
And that's so very true. And when you say that, then what jumps to my mind is listening. So the parent has to know how to listen.
You said it right there. It's one thing, I hear you, but am I listening to you?
Right.
And you have to know how to listen. It's just like studying. A person can study a course for weeks and still not comprehend what they're studying.
Right.
It's how you study.
Right.
You can't study with the music going on.
Right. Right, music
gonna
in your ear,
right.
and you trying to comprehend
Right.
some technical information.
But
you're
I've
not
been
gonna
studying. No, you've been studying. You've been hearing noise.
Right, right,
You can't do that.
right.
It's how you study. It's how you listen.
Right.
You know, because you can learn. You're actually learning from the person that you're listening to. You're learning something about that person, and you're also learning about how things work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you treasure, and by doing that, you'll know how to communicate with them.
That's very good. I mean, and I'm just hoping that the men, especially the men that are out there listening, to take more responsibility for their environment. Really, just take more responsibility for your life, and your children are part of your life. You have to grow up and know that your feelings shouldn't affect the child, the children. And these are two strong men. They can give you information, and it should inspire all of us. Is there something else you want to say about Zephaniah, which is a treasure? And Zephaniah actually was one of the prophets who spoke. He was the ninth prophet of the book of 12, but he spoke on the what was it? The problems of doing wrong. I can't really say it right, but you know, the consequences of not doing the right thing.
Right.
And you all are really messengers. Really, when you come with the truth, you're bringing a message from the Creator. You are a messenger.
One-shot deal. This whole life thing is a one-shot deal.
That's right.
It's like your mother and father. It's a one-shot deal. You got to ride with it.
We get one time to make it right.
This is it.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson had a tour. What's it called? This is it.
This is it. That's right.
One
This
shot
is
deal,
it.
so you make the best of it.
We have to understand that.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that and help the children.
Yeah,
They need us.
That's right.
They
Especially
need
middle
us.
class.
Yeah.
Or your senior citizens, 0 to 40. You're in the way. You're in the way into life. From 40 until we out of here, you're on the way out.
Right.
So in between those two reference points,
Yeah.
you got to fly right and do the right thing.
And 40 is full strength, but once I got over 40, and
Right.
past 50, and
Right.
went over 60,
Right.
then I said, okay, now I know 40 is full strength,
Yeah.
but every mountain doesn't peak when it get up and come down.
That's true.
You know, there's
That's
plateaus.
true. Yeah,
You know, you get up to the
true.
mountain, it go a while before it go down.
Right.
Well, I figure we're in that plateau on
Yeah,
top of the
that's
mountain,
right.
and then we're on our way
And you're
out.
seasoned. Life
Yeah.
teaches you to be seasoned. And
Yeah.
as we get older in our age, you should season with age. Season means you should be wise enough, especially when it comes to children, to be able to convey to them the things that you learn, and in a manner that they can engulf it and they can teach their children the same. That's the blessing of life.
Well, you know, the other thing about the book, and I'm going to let you finish up, but you also were saluting and honoring the mothers that have held on
Right.
and the fathers that haven't
Yeah.
gone away. So speak to what you would like the youngsters to hear, and to, I just want to know, how can you give them that I received from you, seeing the love that you have for your children, and Roger and you, and being a successful person and raising the daughters, share with them something that they could walk away with.
Well, the thing is, I just want to say, ain't nothing in life gonna change until you do. And if you was raised by a single mother, you seen her struggle to try to make you have a decent life. You know, so you should want your children to have even better life than you do.
That is true.
You know, so if you seen how your mother struggled to care for you, then any woman that brings a child into your life, you have to at least think about your mother
That's a real talk.
and care for that woman, even though y'all not in the same household.
Right.
You know, and only thing I can say is give yourself a chance to be a man.
So eloquently put.
Give yourself a chance to be a man.
To be a man, because just because you slanging and got a baby, don't make you a man.
No, that's not gonna make you a man.
Doesn't make you a father.
And 9 times out of 10, you know, when you're not fulfilling who you are, if you're a male, you must fulfill that to be a man. when you're not fulfilling who you really are, you're going to alter your mind. I mean, you're going to want to be high. Or you're going to be angry all the time. You're not going to be at peace, put it like that.
Right, the soul, because the soul knows. And when you faking it, the soul will worry you.
Yeah.
And it'll destroy you,
And
trying to bring you back to the right.
And what's going to happen is you're going to be led astray. You're not going to be able to maximize all your potential. You're going to find yourself somewhere where you don't need to be.
Yeah.
That's true.
So seek peace, man. It's there for you.
That's true.
Roger, any last thing you want to say?
I'm with Fleetwood. You know, I think in life there are challenges, and I think that, I remember my son, he was in school, he had some difficulties in the class he was taking. He said, "Dad, this is difficult." I said, "No, it's nothing but a challenge, son." So now he used things that are difficult as a challenge. He don't look at them as difficult, because there's a negative connotation that goes with difficult. But when we use the word challenge, I can beat that. It's not about falling, as I tell him, it's about getting back up.
Okay.
Like going to the DMV. You can fail that test 3 or 4 times. Eventually, you're going to know all the answers because you done failed all the tests. You're going to know all the answers from failing. You can't fail no more.
Right.
Not about falling.
Right, because you can't
back
fail
up.
if you know. Once you know, you can't fail.
Right. If you fail enough, you're going to eventually know all the answers because you done failed so much.
Right.
So it ain't about falling. It's about getting back up. And that's how I convey, you know, to my children. And these young brothers out here, I would hope that they would see it the same way. It ain't nothing they can't do. Once they understand that they are the beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega, ain't nothing in the middle, ain't nothing that they can't do. Nothing.
Well, man, the time has come, and we have to conclude America's real stimulus package, which is us.
Right.
The most wasted resource is the African American mind and energy. So with that, I thank Ken Johnson for the opportunity to host America's Real Stimulus Package with my extinguished guests, Fleetwood and Roger. And for today, America's Real Stimulus Package, I'll say thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.